Yeah, but bicycles allowed.
Wait a second. I think he's autistic. In this video, I'll be sharing with you the top signs to spot an autistic person.
But it's not so easy to spot a person.
Now, why would this be important? To increase awareness, inclusion, and understanding for those who may be autistic. My husband and I have 5 kids, and our 2 youngest boys are autistic. The examples we'll be showing in this video are a home video of our autistic boys. For me personally, I don't know how many times people have said, oh, he's not autistic because of, and then they say one thing. Well, newsflash, you can't say, oh, he's social, he doesn't have autism, because my son Simon is incredibly social, and yet he has autism. You can't say, oh, she's really affectionate and he has really good eye contact. They're not autistic. One of my sons has amazing eye contact, and both of my sons are extremely affectionate. We've made many videos of different signs of autism of different ages. You can see that playlist here. And if you disagree with me, if you think that there's a one-liner, hey, they're not autistic if they do this, then put it in the comments, because I would love to hear your opinion. Honestly, I would love to hear what you think. Now, why would it be important for a teacher or a parent or a neighbor to notice that a child is autistic? Shouldn't we all just treat them the same anyway?
Be cool.
That's a good thought. And it sounds good on paper. Treat every child the same. But what if you have a child that needs more support in a different way? So for example, if my non-autistic, so neurotypical child comes home in a really bad mood, and he comes and says, Mom, this kitchen is so loud. Why are you so loud in this kitchen? I'm going to try to find out what's really wrong. Obviously, something happened at school. Maybe a teacher did something that was unfair. Maybe someone said something to him, he got made fun of. Maybe his friend did something mean. I'm going to try and figure out why he's mad. He probably doesn't care that the kitchen is loud or that I'm banging pots and pans as I'm cooking or something. But if my autistic son comes in and sits down and puts his hands over his ears and says, Mom, this kitchen is too loud, what it most likely means is that the kitchen's too loud. So of course I'm going to respond differently to a neurotypical child than an autistic child in many situations. Not every situation, but it is so important to identify autism in children so that you can know how to help them best and how to support them differently. If there is negative connotation with that label, then that is society and cultural's defect, and we need to try and change that. And so you can change it in your life by being positive and helpful and inclusive with the autistic people you meet. Here are my personal top signs to spot an autistic child. Someone who's autistic has deficits or issues in 3 areas. They have to have issues in all 3 areas. They can have 1 or 2, they have to have 3. The areas are communication, social, and repetitive or restricted behaviors or interests. For example, communication, a very common one, is to take things really literally. I have a friend who asked her autistic child to help her take the Christmas lights off the tree. He took scissors and promptly cut the Christmas lights off the tree. She came in and was surprised that he was cutting them off, and she said,
Well, I didn't mean literally.
Didn't you realize that I wanted you to take the whole entire cord off? He said, no, you said just the lights. So that's just one example of an autistic person taking a request very literal. And that's an issue in communication. An example of difficulty in social interactions could be not understanding social cues. Maybe an autistic person is talking about something that they're really interested in. It could be that the autistic person is having a difficult time understanding through body language or social cues that the other person is no longer interested in the conversation. So that would be an example of social. An example of repetitive or restrictive behaviors or interests would be perhaps that they are obsessed with collecting wrappers. This is actually an example from my son, Ezra, who is 7 years old. And a lot of times we will ask total strangers, hey, are you okay if you give my autistic son the wrapper of your water bottle? And we've done that. We've asked many people and they can say no, and then we'll try and teach our son that you don't always get what you want. But 100% of the time they've said yes. So here are the top signs to spot a child with autism. The first sign is eloping. There could be many reasons why an autistic child elopes. or runs away, escapes, or wanders off. A lot of times they don't have a specific place that they are meaning to go. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they just simply want to leave. My son Ezra has escaped many times. He actually escaped out of his window fairly recently. We didn't realize that he knew how to open it. You can see that video about here if you want. So if you see a child who repetitively, consistently wanders off, if you see a child who just wants to run away, not necessarily to go any one place, but just to run away, that is a sign of autism. And there could be many reasons for this. It could be maybe the environment that they're in is too difficult for them to handle and they need support, but they're not getting the support. It could be that they just love to run, like my son Ezra. It could be that they love to escape. He has escaped out of 5 safety beds. Now he's in his number 6 safety bed. It's actually hospital grade 1. My son Simon does not have this issue at all. He doesn't elope. He likes to stay with us. He doesn't usually wander off or run away. But with Ezra, when we lived in an RV, yes, we had 5 kids in an RV when we were traveling to all the national parks, we noticed that Ezra would run away every chance he got. And so to help keep him safe, we actually put him on a toddler leash. Every time we go for a family walk, every time we go for a hike, every time we would visit and explore these national parks, we always put him on a toddler leash. And do people judge us? Yes, they do. It's not nice.
Not nice.
But it's just because they don't understand that we actually are doing a really good thing for our son, letting him experience the hike and the exploring national parks and, you know, in the caves and on islands and things like that. It was important that we included him in that. And the only way we could do that safely is to keep him near us. And the best way that we could figure out how to do that was through having him on a toddler leash. Another obvious sign is sensory sensitivity. So for example, if they have a hard time with loud noises, have a hard time with repetitive noises, that might be, you know, a trigger for them to get really anxious. Or if they have a hard time with haircuts. Both of my boys have a really difficult time with haircuts. No one likes the little tiny hairs that end up sticking to your skin and when your hair is cut. But this is especially hard for my autistic kids because they are sensitive to that type of feeling. They don't like the tags on their shirts. Ezra is overstimulated visually, and so we have to be careful to not give him too many choices, too many different foods to eat at the same time. Even when he's hungry, he might throw it out because he gets overstimulated visually. Another more obvious sign is autism stimming. Now, what is stimming? A self-stimulatory regulating behavior that's usually repetitive, and it can be physical, and it can also be in your mind as well. I'm not going to go over all of the different examples of stimming. I actually made another video, 12 examples of autistic stimming. You can see that video here. Some common stims that I see with my kids all the time would be hand flapping, twirling, jumping up and down, shaking their head, or kicking and throwing things repetitively. So the difference between a neurotypical child's behavior and an autistic stim would be the duration and the consistency. How long and how often do they do these repetitive things? My son, every time he gets super excited, he'll shake his hands. He will also twirl his hands. Every time he gets overstimulated, he will go and take his cords and wrap it around his hand. Like, he will do that for hours. He will play with his cords for the entire day. A lot of times, stimming will really help regulate my kids so that they are able to focus better. And so my personal opinion is that you do not stop an autistic person's stimming, never forcefully. You usually don't ask them to stop unless, of course, they're hurting themselves or hurting other people. But if they're not bothering anyone, I mean, seriously, like, well, what's wrong with that? It's fine. They're stimming. We post daily of our unique normal, so please consider subscribing.
And they said yes.
Another obvious sign for an autistic child is that they are obsessed with order, that they work better when there's a plan and a schedule that always goes according to plan. If you have a child that is constantly having a hard time whenever the plan is changed, maybe you're supposed to go outside, but they have to wait. My autistic children thrive with repetitive schedules that they can anticipate and that just helps them in this world that sometimes they feel like is not made for them. I know with my kids, if we do a last minute change of the schedule or whatever activity we're gonna do, it causes anxiety. Another sign of autism. Hi, Simon.
Hi.
Do you want to say hi? Come here.
Hi.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
What, can you show the camera what's on your shirt?
Hi.
Is it a doggy?
Yeah. What's up?
Yeah, it's the doggy. Yeah. Okay, can you go find Daddy?
No.
Okay, go find Daddy. Where is he? Go find him. Where is he? I don't know where he is. Another obvious sign, especially when they're young, is less eye contact than you would expect. So my son Ezra, even as a baby, all growing up to now when he's 7 years old, he has extremely limited eye contact. He's overstimulated visually, so it's understandable that he doesn't feel comfortable looking at people's faces.
Fundamental dynamics of our eye contact.
That's definitely a sign of autism, is to have a hard time with eye contact. Our son Simon, he doesn't have that big of a difficulty with eye contact. If we ask him to look at us, he'll look at us every time, unless he's super mad or something. Another sign is an obsession or interest in unusual things or objects. So for example, if you have a child that just always cuddles a teddy bear or always wants her blankie and carries it around the house, that is a very neurotypical behavior, okay? Because those are objects that are designed for comfort. Well, my son finds comfort and satisfaction in water bottles and in cords and in wrappers. So if you see a child who is obsessed or really, really interested in something that is unusual, because of my kids, all 5 of them, I know how important it is to have each one of them feel seen and feel heard. And this is a way for an autistic child to feel seen and heard, is when you choose to enter their world, to listen to what they are obsessed with, to ask them questions about their interests, have interactions with them that involve what they love. If you want to see 12 signs of autism in a 1-year-old, the video is here and the autism playlist is here.